I start my review of Wayward Son, I'm gonna tell you the story of why my dad hates the Hunger Games. A few years ago, we went to see the movie Catching Fire at the movie theater, and when the movie was over, my dad stood up and yelled, "This is bullshit!" And my mom was like, "Jeff, you can't just say bullshit in the middle of the movie theater." And he was like, "This movie had no ending. This is bullshit." And I was like, "Dad, the movie had no ending because the Hunger Games is a trilogy. So if you want an ending, like this was the second installment, you have to see the third movie when it comes out, or you have to read the third book." And he was like, "No, I paid money to see this movie. I didn't pay to see this movie so I would have to then go and pay to see another movie. I paid to see this movie. And this movie had no ending, and that's bullshit." At the time, I thought my dad was overreacting because then he would start saying things here and there, things like, "I am never going to buy another product that the Hunger Games franchise releases ever again," because he was so bitter about this. But honestly, now that I've read Wayward Son, I know how he feels. Supporters, I'm Savvy and I'm back with another book review video for you today. If you are new to my channel, welcome. It's great to meet you. Glad you're here. Please don't forget to subscribe because every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Central, I have new videos coming out about books and writing. Today's video is going to be about Wayward Son, the new book by Rainbow Rowell that just came out. For those of you who have not yet read this, do not fret. This is going to be a spoiler-free review because somehow I had so many thoughts and opinions about this book that I was able to easily make an entire video without spoiling shit. So get ready, sit back, relax, and I'm gonna tell you all about Wayward Son. I give this book 1 star and 5 stars at the same time. Can I do that? I mean, yeah, I can obviously do that because this is my YouTube channel and I can say whatever the fuck I want on my own platform, but Goodreads doesn't let me do that. They don't let me have a 1 star and 5 star rating at the same time, so this book is still unrated on Goodreads and will probably remain that way until the end of time. Here's the thing. This is not a complete book. It's just like my dad seeing Catching Fire at the movie theater. Now, this has nothing to do with the ending. I'm not spoiling the ending. I'm not saying anything about the end of this book, but the book as a whole was not a complete novel. If anything, this felt like an episode, right? Like we were watching an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, learning about Picard's journey of reconciling with his past when he was younger, along with the man he's become today. And it was just one episode where he has to do that by fighting off some aliens or something, right? Everything can be compared to Star Trek. But anyway, yeah, this is not a complete book. It raises way more questions than it answers. It sets up all these interesting things and starts doing all this world building and then does nothing with it. So my rating for Wayward Son is 5 stars if and only if this is the second book in a series, right? And that Rainbow Rowell has like a third book or like hopefully like 10 more books planned out. If so, then this series is brilliant. This is beautifully written. This is going to be exploring so many incredible concepts. But if not, if this book was meant to be the finale of a duology, to be the sequel, the ending of the Carry On series, if so, 1 star. This is the biggest letdown of all of 2019, and I read Girl Stop Apologizing. So, first we're going to talk about all the ways that this book is amazing, and then we're going to talk about all the ways that it's a complete shit show. And by the way, there is no middle ground. This book is simultaneously the greatest and worst book of all time. It is both an incredible, brilliantly written work of literature that is going to change the scope of young adult literature for the rest of time. And it's also literally a whole ass dumpster fire. This will end in flames! So before I tell you why I want to literally throw this book at someone, I'm going to tell you why I want to build a shrine in its honor. 1. Agatha's plot is so interesting, I could die! Okay, I don't understand why in Carry On a lot of people hated Agatha. I always liked Agatha, and in this book I like Agatha even more because she's doing so much interesting shit. Scratch that, I know why people didn't like Agatha. It's because of this. By the way, that was a joke, guys. I'm just kidding. You're obviously allowed to like and dislike whatever characters you want, like #NoBookTube disclaimers. I shouldn't have to justify this. I'm making a joke here on the internet. Anyway, I always found Agatha's struggle to be so interesting, of being a person who has magical powers and can do magic and is going to magic school, but she just wants to be a normal-ass person. She's not really interested in magic. That's not the life she chose for herself. That's such an interesting struggle to be in, right? Because all of us assume, like, if you could live in a fantasy novel, if you could be a magician or a wizard or whatever, of course you'd want to be. Like, no, not everyone does. Some people just want to be a lawyer or an accountant or whatever. Like, let Agatha live her best life. And that's exactly what she's doing in this book, right? She's just hooked on off to California California, where she's gone to go live like a hippie and go to music festivals with vegans, and it's great. And then Agatha's main conflict in this book starts when her new hippie friend wants to go to this creepy cult summit so that she can get activated and level up. It's almost like Rainbow Rowell watched all my anti-MLM videos and decided to make my dreams come true. Like, yes! And then obviously Agatha's plot intersects with the plot that Simon, Baz, and Penny have when they take a road trip in America, but I'm not gonna tell you how that intersects because I'm not giving any spoilers. The next thing I loved was just the concept of this book. The idea that, like, when you have a hero's journey, like in Carry On, we're playing with the idea that Simon is the chosen one. It's kind of playing on a lot of tropes that happen in young adult novels and fantasy novels and that type of thing. What happens after the hero goes through their epic journey? What happens next? Simon is someone who peaked at age 18 because he finishes off his hero's journey, he defeats the, you know, the evil forces in the magical world. I'm not going to get too detailed and spoil Carry On in case you haven't read that. But the point is, like, after that journey is done, what's left? Like, you have to make new goals, you have to start your life over, you've lost all of your purpose. And that's such an interesting thing to explore. Simon in this book is very clearly dealing with depression, and that was portrayed in such an interesting way. Like I said, if this is the start of a series that's going to continue with this, I would love to see how that plays out and what happens with Simon's arc in that case, how he overcomes that feeling of purposelessness in his life, as well as just looking at, like, the modern day millennial world and how that world that we have is intersecting with magicians and magic and wizards and how those things are coming together and intersecting in ways that they're not supposed to. That's so interesting! Finally, this book had some cool-ass world building. We got to see so much of how the magic world and the normal world mix with each other when they're not supposed to in certain forbidden types of ways. Particularly, there's a new character that's introduced in this book named Shepherd, who is incredibly interesting because he's kind of like a fanboy for magicians and wizards and that kind of thing. Like, he's a normal-ass dude with no powers who is interested in how people do magic. Like, he belongs to online forums and he's in, like, these, like, weird subculture groups on the internet that are into, like, researching and exposing what magic might be out there. And I'm like, if in this year of 2019 there were actual magical people in this world, that is exactly what would happen. And I'm glad that this book is going for it. It's, like, so firmly grounded in reality while also being a fantasy novel at the same time, and that's just, like, amazing. I love it. But in that case, there need to be more books, because otherwise all this setup and all this world building is for nothing. So now on to why this book is the biggest letdown of the year. Let's start with the most obvious thing that would bother me, since I've made plenty of other videos on this topic on my channel, and that of course would be this. A lot of people, myself included, had been predicting that in this book Simon was going to come out, or at the very least acknowledge himself as being bisexual, for a couple of reasons. The main reason is that our girl Rainbow is over here being a cock tease, releasing this book on Bisexual Visibility Day, revealing promotional material for this book where Simon is wearing not only a leather jacket but also cuffed pants. Now, I never throw around the term queer baiting lightly, but I mean, the other obvious reason that we all thought Simon was going to acknowledge himself as bisexual was that in Carry On, he literally dates both a female and a male character over the course of the book. But it's totally understandable that at the end of Carry On, where Simon is still a teenage boy, that he would still be unsure and confused about himself and wouldn't have made up his mind or understood what was going on with him yet. Totally legitimate. But 2 years have gone by. Simon's been in a relationship with the dude for 2 full-ass years, immediately after being in a relationship with the girl for 3 years. Look, I'm not saying the dude has to have his sexuality totally figured out or anything. It's totally understandable that he might still be confused about some things or not want to commit to a label yet. That's totally believable. But what I don't understand is how I have read upwards of 900 pages of Simon's life story and the word bisexual has never been typed in print in these books even once. Like, the word pansexual or any of that isn't used either, so it's not like that, it's just like that non-existent. And, like, we're getting Simon's first person perspective. So after 2 whole ass years of dating a man and 3 whole ass years of dating a woman, you're gonna tell me that Simon has never even thought the phrase, "Am I bisexual?" to himself? I mean, fuck that, it's 2019. There's no way you're convincing me that he hasn't already Googled that like 100,000 times. And what's just frustrating is that it's non-existent to the point where the book feels like it's going out of its way not to say it, to the point where the phrasing is 1,000 times more awkward because of how much it has to subvert it. For example, there's this scene where Simon is at the Renaissance fair and he sees all these women with like their boobs out in these very low-cut dresses, and he's thinking to himself like, I haven't figured out if I like both men and women yet. Do I still like women now that I'm dating Baz? I don't know. I haven't figured it out. But I like that there are all these boobs here. That's pretty cool. And like literally it's never brought up again. That's it. That's all we get. Also, there's this part where Agatha is reflecting on her relationship with Simon for like 3 sentences. And she's basically just like, I was tired of helping my boyfriend pretend to be straight. And I was like, in what way did you help him pretend to be straight? Dating someone of the opposite sex does not mean you're pretending to be straight. I got married to a full-ass, thick-bearded, rugged man. Does that mean I'm pretending to be straight every single day of my life? Because if that's what I was supposed to be doing, then this outfit is failing me even worse than Wayward Son failed as a sequel. Like, am I supposed to believe that Simon made it 20 years of his life not ever once hearing the word bisexual, and not only that, but Agatha never heard it either? I'm supposed to believe that? It's current year! So here's what I think the actual problem is. I think Rainbow Rowell might actually be allergic to that word. Take some allergy pills and say the word bisexual. Look, I got the Benadryl right here. If anyone knows Rainbow Rowell's address, please put it in the comments below so that I can mail her this and help her overcome this allergy problem. Like, I don't want her to break out in hives or anything, but also she needs to finish Simon's arc, so... On to the next big problem. This isn't a full book. When Wayward Son was first announced, it was advertised as being released in 2020, but then the release date got bumped up to 2019, a whole year. So what I'm thinking might have happened is maybe Rainbow Rowell was like writing the sequel, and then she realized that it was actually long enough to be 2 books, so she decided to release this one, and then release the next one at a later date. But like, why not tell people that? Like, why is there no announcement that there's another book coming if there is one? Like, I understand having released the first book without announcing a second one, but the first book was like a complete story with everything finished. This one is incomplete, so like, why wouldn't you already announce that there's a third one coming, unless this is some kind of weird all publicity is good publicity type of marketing strategy where you want to get the fans really angry and then placate them, which obviously is gonna work. I mean, I waited 2 years for this book. I will wait more for the next one if it's coming, and I will buy it and I want more. So like, obviously that dumbass marketing strategy is gonna work. We're all easily manipulated sheeple. It's gonna happen. And here's the thing about me is I don't mind waiting. I can be very patient when I need to. I was big into things like r/patient gamers. When I got The Sims 3, it didn't run on my old ass laptop, so I waited like 5 years to be able to play The Sims 3 and never sold the game because I knew one day I'd get a computer that could upgrade to it. I once waited a full decade to play a prank on my brother. When my brother and I were little kids, my grandma took us to Boston Market and there was this lemon there, and he was like, "Savvy, I dare you to suck on this lemon." And I was like, "I'll suck on the lemon if you also will suck on a lemon." And he's like, "Sure, I'll do it." So I did it, and then he didn't do it even though I already had, and I was like, "No, you have to, it was part of our deal." And he was like, "An unwritten rule of deals is that I actually have until I'm 20 to do it," which is not true. That is stupid little kid logic. But in my brain, I was like, okay, then I'm gonna give you a lemon for your 19th birthday so you don't forget. And he's like, "You won't remember to give me a lemon for my 19th birthday, but oh, did I?" In fact, that day I went back to my grandma's house and wrote him a letter with that date on it in crayon in my messy ass little kid handwriting, and I said, "Grandma, keep this in the attic because I'm giving him a lemon for his 19th birthday and we cannot forget." And she was like, "Don't worry, Savvy, we won't forget." And then when my brother's 19th birthday was coming up, when we were literally in college, I called up my grandma and I was like, "You still have that letter, right?" And she was like, "Yep." And then I went to the grocery store and I bought him a lemon and I gave him the letter and I was like, "Suck the lemon, bitch!" And he was like, "Savvy, I have no memory of any of this." And he read the letter and he's like, "I believe that this happened because you clearly have an actual letter from that time. Like, I don't know why you would make this up. I'm sure this really happened. But I don't have any memory of it anymore because why would anyone except me hold on to that?" My point is, I could be patient as shit. I'm here for the long haul, fam. And that is why, if there are more books coming, you know I'm gonna be a sucker for them. Also, if more books come out, it might actually be able to undo the bisexual erasure. It can be revealed that the reason the word bisexual was never once said in the course of about 900 pages of a young man discovering his sexual orientation would be that maybe that's one of the words that ignites some kind of curse or something. It's a stupid ass idea, but it could happen. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thanks for listening to me rant and rave and whatever until I got out of breath. I will see y'all again on Monday. In the meantime, don't forget to support small businesses. I'm too exhausted to even plug my own books. Check out the description below. I love you guys. Happy reading.